Hey guys, I am Nurse D Porchae, and if you're new to this channel, here on this channel, we discuss all things nursing, health, and finances. I have a super special guest with me today here to talk all about concierge nursing. And so this nurse is an author, she is an educator. And so without further ado, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us something you are super passionate about in nursing right now.
Hello. Thank you so much, Porchae, for having me on your YouTube channel. This is so exciting. I love that you're doing this. I love meeting nurses that are passionate. So my name is Linda Jo Pallotto-Russo, and I have been a registered nurse for 30 years. And I'm originally from Connecticut. I moved to Florida 8 years ago. I'll talk about how I got into concierge nursing, but it's basically the same story. We get tired of bedside nursing. And I decided to open up my own business. What I am passionate about, so many things to list.
Anything within nursing right now that you're passionate about? Like sometimes I'll interview nurses and they're passionate about getting, nurses more educated, about pushing, certain systems. There was one nurse we both know that I interviewed, and she was very passionate about nurses feeding their young versus eating their young. And so that's something super special to her. So I feel like there's so much negativity right now in nursing, and I like to start my interviews out with people just pushing positivity, because there's a lot of positives in nursing too. And so everybody have that passion or that thing that they're super like just wanting to change in nursing. So tell us a little bit about that for you.
You're right about that. There's a lot of negativity in nursing. What I am passionate about is educating nurses to realize their full potential. The nurses that I speak to have no idea their worth, the value of their license, what they can do with that license. And I want to build up their confidence and tell them, you have no idea what you're holding in your hands. Nurses are literally walking millionaires, and we don't even know it.
I love that. That is so true.
Yes. I didn't either, Portia. I was one of those people. I had no idea. I'm just going to work in a hospital. I'm just going to work for somebody. This is how it is. I just have to live my life with the golden handcuffs on me at wherever I'm working. There's no way. There's no way out of this. That is so not true.
Why do you think that is? Is that pretty much? Do you think that like that's kind of like what we're pushed when we're in nursing school? Because I know when I was in nursing school, it was kind of like med-surg. And so I thought that I was supposed to go into med-surg, and that was not my story. Right. And so I wonder where that concept or that way of thinking kind of comes from in the nursing field, because there's so many different things that we can do as nurses. And so a lot of nurses don't know that there's more that we can do than just bedside or even just remote nursing, working from home. There's so many different areas. And so I know you're here to share that with us, but where do you think that starts, that way of thinking?
You hit it on the head. It is 100%. It starts in nursing school. We are only geared, and the NCLEX, the licensure exam, that's what it's geared for, is hospital nursing. And I understand that, because we do need nurses to know if they go to work in a hospital, that's where they're going to, use those skills. I get it.
Right.
But there is no education on what else you can do as a nurse. You don't ever have to touch a patient if you don't want to. You do not have to work in a hospital. And then the nurses will say, but then I'm going to lose all my skills and all that education's wasted. There is no such thing as wasting your skills as a nurse. There are thousands of hundreds, if not thousands, of skills that we learn. You could make a business out of any one of those. So it's critical for nurses to understand that that's not true. You can work in many different areas without ever having to work in a hospital. Now, granted, the hospitals pay the most, right? There's also that. Well, I want to come out and make the most money. I have student loan debt. I have a family. I want to make a lot of money, whatever that is. My answer to that is nurses need to make a shift in their thinking of what's work-life balance and what's going to make you truly happy for decades. That's what's going to get you stuck. Because once you are working in the hospital for that 5 to 7 years, you're stuck.
Mm.
Now you are making so much money and your benefits and your vacation. And now it's like, well, I don't want to start all over again because now I'm going to lose my time and now I'm going to lose that. We need to think very
So it's
strategically
a
as
way of
nurses.
thinking. You got to shift that
Yes.
way of thinking. Yes.
Isn't
Oh,
that
I love
life?
that.
Life is a mindset. Life is a mindset. And you always
Mm.
have to be thinking about your future because where you are at 22 or 25 is not necessarily where you're going to want to be when you're 35, 40, or 50.
So true. That is so true. And so it's a mindset shift because even if you are working 5, 7 years in the hospital, you don't have to stay there. So it's just you shifting that
Correct.
mindset of not being afraid to lose those benefits that you've accumulated and all of that with the hopes or the intention on getting more than that if you were to venture out into business or a different area. So I love that you said that.
And you don't even have to do it full time. Nurses are thinking, like when I talk about concierge nursing, they're thinking, well, I can't just quit my job. I have to work. I
Right.
didn't say how to do it full time. Many nurses
Mhm.
have two jobs. They have two horrible jobs. They have two bedside jobs.
That's
They're
it.
working on one floor, part extra money, and then their full time job on another floor, or maybe home care nursing, or skilled nursing, or what have you. You don't have to
Mhm.
do this full time. This can be. I have made this a fantastic side hustle for myself. I don't do this full
Love
time.
it.
I do this part time,
Our time.
and
Let's get into
and
your
it's
education
lucrative.
background
Hmm.
because I wonder
Sure.
if you started in the bachelor's program. Did you start as an LPN? What was your path, your journey through nursing?
So it was a little bit different for me. Life circumstances didn't allow me to go to nursing school right out of high school. So I didn't go until I was in my mid 20s. I graduated in Connecticut. I went to a fantastic associate degree program. I got my 2 year nursing degree. Back
Nice.
then, 30 years ago, there wasn't a big push for the BSN and all the magnet status with the hospitals and all of that. So that was not a concern. So I got my 2 year degree, and then I went and earned my bachelor's in business management.
Hmm.
But I never worked in it. I don't consider myself a business person or knowing a lot about business. It was just I wanted something different than all my degrees in nursing. So I went for a bachelor's in business, and then I went for my master's in nursing education because I had a love for teaching nursing. And
Okay.
then I ended up going on for my doctorate in education with a focus in higher education. So I teach nurses online as my primary job.
Okay. So you work as like an adjunct instructor for college?
I'm a full
Oh,
time
full
course instructor.
time.
Yep,
That is
I am.
awesome.
I do,
Wow.
however, I do,
Mhm.
however, often think of expanding my business, uh, leaving that life behind and not teaching anymore, and opening, just expanding my business and doing this full time.
Mm.
It's a big change,
Yeah.
and like I tell my nurses, you have to reflect and decide what's best for your life and where you want what you want at this time in your life.
Right.
I am older. Not that you're never too old to do things, but it does change perspective. So for anyone
Mhm.
that is young, younger than 45, jump on this business and expand it. This can be
Mm.
your full time job. Absolutely. Yeah. I have a few things to work out and I'll make a decision. But so, yeah, so I teach,
Okay.
but my true love is nursing. I mean, why would someone that teaches and has I teach online, so I work from home.
Okay.
Who would want to work another job when you're doing that, right? That sounds great.
Mhm.
And I get
Yeah.
asked that a lot. Like, what you have a full time teaching job at home in your house. Why are you doing, taking care of patients in your business? That's my true love. That's what I absolutely love doing. I
Hmm.
and I do miss bedside nursing, but I'm disheartened at what it's become because the
Yeah.
system isn't set up, as we know, to allow nurses to care for patients the way they deserve to
Yes.
be cared for.
Yes.
And we don't have a seat at the table, and no one values our opinion. And there's all of that toxicity and everything
Right.
else that goes with it. Um,
Let me ask you this. So
so,
you went to the ASN program and then you did a RN to MSN bridge program. Is that what you did?
no, no, I went to a
Okay.
completely different school that didn't, I don't even think they offered nursing at the time. I still don't think they do. It's a business school.
Okay.
I don't know how it is now, but at the time, back in '08 or '06, I think I applied, the University of Hartford in Connecticut
Okay.
required a bachelor's in anything to get your
Okay.
master's in nursing.
Interesting. Okay. I was
And I
wondering where
said,
that
okay,
connection was.
well,
Okay.
it's very different. I probably couldn't do that
Yeah.
today, right? Because you
Right.
have to have a
Well,
BSN. But
I've
back
heard of
then,
a similar program, but I don't think it's out of Connecticut. But yeah. Okay.
mhm.
So you
So, and
did
I,
a
like I said,
program.
I didn't want my degrees all in nursing.
Right.
So I said, let me get a bachelor's in business and
Mm-hmm.
see what that's like. Let's learn something different. And then I
Mm-hmm.
went and got the master's in nursing because obviously you
Gotcha.
can't teach without at least a master's. So yeah, I took a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of a different route.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to bring it all together. I was like, wait, so you went this way? Okay, so that makes
Oh,
sense. You did that program. And
mhm.
you said it was Hartford University?
University of Hartford, yes, in Connecticut.
Okay. In Connecticut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting. Interesting. Thanks
Mhm.
for sharing that. Tell us a little bit about your concierge business, what exactly a concierge business is, and what level of nurses can go into a concierge business. Like, what do you need? What is a prerequisite for that business?
Sure. LPNs, licensed practical nurses, or LVNs, vocational nurses, or RNs can open and own their own concierge nurse business.
Okay.
Concierge nursing is basically an independently practicing registered nurse. It is, we're private duty. I'm a private duty mobile nurse. That's what it is in a nutshell. I work out of my house. I run my business from my phone. It's very little startup cost. It's only me. I don't have employees or people that help me, so I run it on a much smaller scale. But if you wanted to hire contracted nurses and get your friends involved or non-friends and interview people, and you can make it as big as you want. It's different by
Hmm.
state for the type of licensing.
Okay.
It varies state to state. So that would
So
depend
when you put it
on
that way,
licensing. Mhm.
I'm thinking staffing agency. So is it similar or what's the differences between the two?
I'm not a staffing agency, so I
Mhm.
work in people's homes or their assisted living, independent living, but mostly their homes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
someone comes home from the hospital, they need help. They need help
Right.
with their dressing changes. They need help with really anything. They need help with
Hmm.
bathing. I mean, people don't always want a caregiver in the home and then a nurse. They don't want a revolving door of all these different people coming in their home.
Right.
So they'll call me
Hmm.
and say, can you just do it all? Sure, I can do it all. I was a nurse's aide for years before I was a CNA for years before I was a nurse. I actually love that type of work. So I do it all. But there's post-op care. There's nurses that run concierge nurse businesses that only do post-op cosmetic surgery. It's
Okay.
big in
Yeah, I've seen
Miami and
that.
New York and
Yeah.
those type of places.
Hmm.
It's not that big where I am here in Naples. It's not a huge call. So I do regular post-op surgery, whether it's open heart surgery, bariatric surgery, orthopedic surgery. But as far as the cosmetic surgery, that's a little bit different. They have their own agencies that help them with that. So you have
Hmm.
to, look and see what your market calls for. So where I am, there's a lot of elderly people. This is like the retirement capital of the world here in Naples, Florida. An hour and a half from Miami, like straight
From
across over to
Miami.
the West Coast. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so you can niche it out as much as you want. So I offer a lot of things. I offer care management or case management. I offer post-op surgery care. I can give antibiotics through an existing IV line, so a PIC line or a midline. I can't legally start an IV in someone's home unless I have a medical director, which I don't want to have. So then I can't
Okay.
give chemo. Obviously, you need to be chemo certified. It's basically antibiotics through a PIC line that I can give.
What you give?
What
Okay.
else? I do
I.
weekly wellness checks. That's big down here. The kids live up north, mom and dad are here, and they say,
Okay.
hey, I need someone to check in on them and make sure
Mhm.
they have food and they get to their doctor's appointments and, listen to their heart and lungs and all of that. So
Hmm.
I call it a weekly wellness check. Sometimes they want me to come in twice a week. It just depends on the needs of the patient.
Okay.
Um, What else? Dressing
So it really
changes.
just sounds like
Really
you're
anything.
working independently, like you said. So what would you need other than your nursing license to get started in a business like this?
You need to have a legal business. So, you need to get, I, first thing I recommend is talking to an accountant like I did. I called my accountant and said, what do I have to open? An LLC, a corporation? Like, what's the business
Okay.
here that I have to open? And he told me for me it would be an LLC. So you go onto your
Okay.
state website and you get that, and then you have to get an
Mhm.
EIN, which is basically the government website that's free. It literally took me 10 minutes, if that, to set up.
Mhm.
And get a business card. Have some business cards made, which you can do for free on Canva, maybe a flyer or a rack card, and
Mhm.
a bank account, a business credit card. Think of a name, think of your niche, and you're a business. You
And
could
that's it.
literally be a business within 5 days. Now, you
Wow.
don't need, it's nice to have a website and all this marketing material and pens and
Mhm.
shirts and,
Yeah.
you don't need all of that. No one's going to hire you because of the way your website looks. You're going to talk to them on the phone, they're going to see your business card. People need help. They'll talk to you on the phone and they'll know right then and there whether they're going to hire you. So,
Right.
what we're
So
doing
mostly your
as
skills and your background. I mean, that's what they're going to look at.
yeah,
That's what's going to get you in the door.
yeah.
I don't know
Now
why
there's
I
some nurse. Oh,
thought,
sorry.
in my mind, I thought there were so many other things I would need to get started. And so that's why I never
Mhm.
jumped into doing something like this, because I was like, I'm sure I
Mhm.
have to look at all of the state requirements and get XYZ, and it'll be all of these things that I need to get, and I don't want to do all of that but it should be something that we should be able to just do with our nursing license, right? I mean, we shouldn't have to be
Correct.
under an agency. So I'm not seeing why,
Yes.
we would have to. So I love that you said you need your EIN and your business license
You're a business. I
and
mean, every
you're a
state is different.
business.
I don't know all the rules, obviously, for all the states, but I know from other nurses that I've talked to, California is one of the toughest. So if you're in
Okay.
California, it can be done to get the licensing you need. It's just a lot of paperwork. I know
Okay.
in New York, once
Mhm.
you can hire as many 1099 or contracted nurses or W-2 nurses as you want, and you do not need any special licensing, like to become a registry and whatnot. In Florida, if you
Mhm.
have so many contracted nurses, then you have to become a registry. So every state is different. That's why I don't have any
Okay.
nurses working for me. I do this myself because I don't want to become a registry because then I can't work out of my house and things change.
Okay.
So it's very different. It goes state by state, but to
State
be
by state.
private duty
Okay.
mobile nurse,
Hmm.
you need your license. You need a business, obviously business malpractice, liability insurance. That's another big one, and it's not that
Insurance. Yes,
expensive.
that's a
That's nine
huge
hundred. I
one.
pay $900 a year. That's really not bad.
Oh, that's really not bad at all.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, if you want to open up like an IV hydration business or a med
Hmm.
spa, or now you're talking the insurance is more because the liability is more. You're starting
Right.
IVs.
Yeah.
If you're a registry or you want to open up a home health or a home care agency or buy a franchise like Bright Star Nursing or Comfort Keepers or something like that, yes, of
Hmm.
course, the insurance is going to be more, but you're going to be making a lot more. The volume is a lot
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
So there's so many, this is so doable, and nurses don't even realize that. They think,
Don't.
oh my goodness,
We make everything so
can I do
big.
that?
Yeah.
Can I do that in someone's house?
Yeah.
Do I need a doctor's order for that? Well, yeah, you're
Yeah.
going to have doctor's order. They have discharge instructions from the hospital. You're
That's
going to
right.
call the primary right away and say, "Hey, we got this wound. I need orders." Like I have all the doctors, not all of them, but many of the doctors here in Naples on my cell phone. I just text them when I need something. Hey, Mrs. So and so has a
Mm.
UTI I just found, and I send them a picture of the dipstick that it's purple, and they call in the antibiotics. I go pick them up and bring
Wow.
them, and they're in the patient within 2 hours. I mean,
Oh
this is
my
bridging
goodness.
the
It's
gap
needed.
of care.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
It's
nurses
very
don't
needed.
realize how much it's needed. And I want to make sure I get this in because this usually causes a shift in thinking.
Okay.
Um, I always use this analogy or this comparison, and I'm not downplaying the importance of plumbers and electricians, okay, or HVAC workers. They are all licensed. Okay.
Hmm.
they do not question when they get out of school or get done with their apprenticeship what they can and cannot do in someone's home. When an electrician gets done with his apprenticeship, he says, I know I can hang a ceiling fan in someone's home. I don't need to be, I know I can do that. And they send that invoice for 150 or 200 or whatever electricians are getting,
Yep.
Go have a plumber come in and change the toilet and tell me how much that costs, right? Because they are solving your problem. You need a light. You need piping. You need air conditioning. So you will pay, you'll look around for the best price, but they're all going to be pretty much, within that $100 or so range. And no one, you don't question. It's like, this is what I need. You're solving a problem. They don't question what they can and cannot do with that license. Nurses have no idea, and they think there's all these legal constraints on them that they can only do these things in a hospital. It is so. I do tube feedings in people's homes. I know they need to sit up 30 degrees for so long. I know about placement and what to look for and we know all of that as nurses. Why can't you do that in someone's home? If you can teach a family to do it in someone's home as a home care nurse, why can't you do it on your own and you get the money?
Right. I like that thought process. You said if they don't get out of school and wonder, can I do this? Like, that's literally what you was in school for. So why would you not be able to do it like that?
They have no problem sending out those invoices. And
I worked as a home health. Yeah, I worked as a home health nurse, and I still was like, can I do that? I don't know. Outside of could you think that they go through all of these steps and do all of these things to be able to hire you to do it? And so that makes a lot of sense. So tell us, you have created a program to help a lot of nurses who are interested in starting their own concierge business. Tell us a little bit about that program that you created.
Yes. And so I am working on courses that I am starting to build, but that's going to take me, some time. I'm hoping by the end of this year, those will be done. But I have an ebook that I created that is the ultimate guide to creating a concierge nurse business in 30 days. And it's for LPNs or LVNs and registered nurses. And you can go to my website and there's a link there.
Description of this video, guys. So if you want to check it out, look in the description right now and click on the link to this ebook that Ms. Linda have created for you guys. So tell us what exactly you get in this ebook. What information is included in that book for?
So, I talk about what a concierge nurse is because people don't know. And then I talk about the importance of why you should do it for a whole host of things: autonomy, income, entrepreneurial challenge. I'm looking at my notes. I don't want to forget anything because I'm a little nervous being on this YouTube. Flexible hours. And this is the best part. You get to pick and choose what patients you want. When you're in a hospital or home care, you have to take what they give you.
That's right.
When I'm on the phone and somebody sounds like a train wreck and I don't have the time to do it, I don't have to take it. I can refer to another company that I build partnerships with, and they refer to me and I refer to them, which is all part of the networking piece, which is the course that I'm working on, because you need to know how to build the business. You don't need a brick and mortar building if you don't want to. You can work independently. It's a healthier environment. There's work-life balance. I mean, there's a whole host of reasons why you can do this or should do this. And then I talk about how to start the business, how to register it, about the insurance, all of the, to get the bank account and all of that stuff to actually get a business going. And then all the different, another thing I'm working on is developing all the forms and policies that you'll need. So there's intake forms and transportation waivers and, I drive people in my car, so I have commercial car insurance and, the contract between you and the client. So I'm creating all of those. And those will be up on Sendowl also, along with the ebook eventually. And all of the policies that I already have, they're created. You just fill in your business name. And I would really love to do like live Zooms with people that sign up and show you how to create your own policy and things. It's not difficult. When I tell you, people, this is what I was asked when I started doing tube feedings. A nurse asked me, well, how can you do that in someone's home? It's like, how do you know how to do that? How do you, blah, 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 all the legal,
Yeah, all
how do you,
fear.
what if somebody, I don't know. And I'm like, did we not all go to nursing school? Don't we know about Lippincott and Brunner's and all our Ignativichus, all the nursing books that we all read, all the med surge books? That's
Mm-hmm.
it. Those
That's it.
little bullet points in the skills lab when you get your skills sheet, and it would tell you check patient identification, wash your hands, gather your supplies, all of
That's what
that.
you're doing. Like literally,
That's
yeah.
it. That's the
Uh-huh.
policy. And it's as simple as that. So, and then I also have a ton of resources. I list the website to every single state on where to go to start your apply for your
Oh,
licensing or your LLC.
that's
And
good.
then apps that you'll need, and all kinds of things that you can run this business from your phone. I have a fax number on my phone. I have QuickBooks on my phone. Patients just tap their credit card on my phone to accept payment, or they could pay
Nice.
online. It's
Okay.
really, and I'm not an IT person. I am not a business person. There are
Which
things
is
that I've
perfect because
learned,
none of us are.
mistakes that I've made. It took
Mhm.
me 5 or 6 months to start my business. And
Okay.
I just cut through all the mistakes that I made, and I'm telling you, you can open it in 30 days. I wish I had someone
Wow.
like me to tell me how to do it, because I wasted a lot of time and money.
So
Okay.
it's basically the
Yeah.
template from point A to point Z. That's what
Mm-hmm.
this ebook is right now.
Correct.
Okay. And the course is coming. And so when you do the course, we'll have to do another video so we can let people know about the course that's
Yes. The course,
coming.
all the forms. I get calls a lot. Do you have a contract form? What do I put in the contract?
Mhm.
So I have all of that. That's
Nice.
actually up already. The contract is already up on Sendowl. If somebody wanted that, that's available.
You said
But I
that's
did want
already on
to.
your website, the contract? Okay.
It's already in the Sendowl where the ebook is. Yep.
Nice, nice. Okay, so I'll need that link
And
that just holds everything in one place
yes.
where they can access it. Okay, which will
Okay.
probably be your link tree.
And
Okay.
some of you might be thinking, one other thing I want to get in about concierge nursing. Remember, we're
Mhm.
private pay only. We can't take insurance. The
Okay.
good thing about that is that we're not held to the limitations and constraints of Medicare and insurance. We work for the
Mhm.
patient. We don't work for Medicare. When you're a home health nurse, you're working for Medicare, filling out that OASIS form that you have to fill out before you leave the house, right? You
Yeah.
have to get all this documentation done, and you have 6 or 7 other patients to go see.
Yeah.
You're controlling the show here.
That
You
brings me into my question. I was just going to ask you, what is the
hmm
documentation like? Because that's literally the reason that I left home health. I was like, this is
hmm
I can't do it. Like the documentation is ridiculous. I can't
Yes.
do it. So what is that like with this business?
Technically, if you
Hmm.
are a private duty mobile concierge nurse like me and you work in your house, technically,
Hmm.
you don't have to write a note, because
Hmm.
the state is not checking up on you. You're not licensed with the state. You don't have to be, unless you
Right.
open a home health company,
Okay.
or a registry or an
Hmm.
agency. So
Hmm.
technically, you don't have to. However, CYA, of
Right.
course, anybody can sue you. That's why we have insurance. You would be kind of a fool not to write a note.
Yes.
So I have a HIPAA compliant Google Suite, and you get Google Drive with that. So I have my clients folder, and I have a note section in there, and I keep my notes there. Um,
Okay.
and I send them to the primary care doctor every once in a while. I'll send them a summary once a month, or whatever, however often it's needed, depending on how sick the patient is.
The patient is.
So,
Wow. Okay.
private pay, how much you get, I get asked that a lot. How much do you charge? It really depends on where you live. New York and Los Angeles and Chicago can charge a lot more than Alabama or
Right.
Kansas.
Yeah.
It just depends. So, you have to figure out your market. However, I am a firm believer that no registered nurse or licensed practical nurse should be getting out of bed for under $100 an hour or a visit.
I agree. Yeah.
That's the start. That's the starting point. So now it depends on what you offer. One other thing I want to mention: you do not have to do everything that I do. I offer a lot of different. I'm a med surg nurse on wheels, basically. Not everybody wants to do that. They don't want to deal with wounds and dressings and tube feedings and colostomy bags and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can specialize and niche it out as much as you like. There are nurses here. They're all over the country, but there's a nurse here in Naples that does only foot care. She is a certified foot care specialist. She is
Mm.
credentialed by the National Foot Care Association or whatever it's called for foot care,
Okay.
and she only does foot care.
Wow.
You could specialize in just women's health and be, help new moms that are home with their babies, or
Mm.
talk to be an advocate and talk about coaching and nutrition with women, that are pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
or just talk about coaching and nutrition in general.
Yeah.
You can do advocacy. You can do pediatrics. I get calls all the time.
Hmm.
I have a 8-year-old that's blah blah blah. I'm like, nope, I don't do kids. Sorry, I have to refer you out.
Uh, okay.
You can do psych if that's your thing. People are very lonely. They need resources. You could niche it out to really whatever you want. You can do
Mm.
end of life care. You could do your own end of life care. You can be an end of life doula and do that. You don't have to
Mm.
work at
I
hospice to do
love
that. I
that.
mean, it's endless. It's
Yeah.
endless. And nurses don't know this because they're stuck, they're frustrated, they're exhausted, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't see a way out. And it's
Mm-hmm.
very sad. Like I said, plumbers and electricians know their options. They can go into business for themselves, they could work for a union, they can work for a big plumbing or electrical company.
Yeah.
They
Even
oftentimes do side work. They work their union job and then they do side work on the weekends or at
like-
night for extra money,
Yep.
which is, how I'm using this business. It's a very, very good, lucrative
This
side
is why I
hustle.
wanted to do this interview with you, because I do think that we need to let nurses know more that there's other options, because a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
you get frustrated at the bedside and you're just like, I'm just going to quit nursing altogether, not knowing that, well, you could have just left bedside, or you could have just left hospice. Maybe that wasn't the area for you, or wherever, dialysis, wherever the area is. Just knowing that something like this exists where you're like, oh, I love to do cosmetic nursing, or I love to do post-op care. I love to do whatever. You could
Mm-hmm.
specialize in that field, make your own hours, cover
Correct.
yourself. You can do it at your convenience and make good money doing it. So I love that you agreed to do this interview
Mm-hmm.
with me. Thank you so much for all
Thank
that you
you.
shared. This is a needed
Thank you.
conversation in the nursing
Mm-hmm.
community, and I hope that the right nurses who were meant to hear this information, who needs to get started with this business, will hear this and just thrive the way that they're supposed to with hearing this information. So thank you so much,
That
Linda.
is my hope.
Yes. So
Thank
I'm
you. I
going to have,
appreciate it.
no problem. I'm going to have all of the information that we talked about today, the link to the ebook. You do consults as well, right? Where you can, if
I
someone have a
do. Yes.
question. Okay.
Yep, I have a Calendly account or calendar, and
Okay.
nurses from all over the country book time with me. There is a fee, of course.
Yeah.
Nurses should never work for free.
Never.
Never feel bad. It never feel bad.
Yeah.
The nurses that say, "Who will take care of the patients if we're not there? Who will take care of them?" And
Yeah.
there's a term for that. It's called toxic empathy.
Yeah.
That's
Mm.
not that's not your concern. That's the hospital's problem. That's your manager's problem. Your job is to take care of
Mm.
yourself and live the best life you can with the best work-life balance. Your responsibility is not to
Oh.
take care of every single person working overtime at
Mm.
holidays with
That's good.
toxicity surrounding you. So we
Yes.
can't get caught up in all that. Well, you're a nurse. You're expected to give up
Yes.
everything, give up time with your
Yes.
family to do
Mm-hmm.
this type of work. It's a job and you need to protect your peace. So,
Mm. And your mental health,
mhm,
honey, because woo,
absolutely.
I love that you said that,
Absolutely.
because I've been that nurse. Like, oh my God, if I don't show up, this, and this, they're not going to have anyone. And you're right. That's not our responsibility. That's literally not. And that will make you, have all of these issues and things that you're not supposed to have going on. We'll neglect our physical health.
Mm,
We'll neglect our mental health,
yeah.
with that thought in mind. So I love that you said that is toxic empathy, and that is not
Toxic
our
empathy,
responsibility.
yes.
Mm.
Correct. And then if it's the old, Well, you're not caring. How could you leave the patients like that? You don't know what's going to happen with them. Never, never give more of yourself to somebody that doesn't know your worth. And if they're asking you to do that work, your managers, your hospital, whoever, they don't value you. They're using you. And you never give more of yourself than someone's, than the worth you're getting from others. So it will all work out. We can't take care of everyone. Just like the animal people can't save every dog running around, right? You can't do it.
Right.
You have to protect your peace. We can't take care of every single patient. This is a job. It's a lucrative one. I just hope nurses realize their value and the value of their license, and that license can bring in a lot of income besides just working for someone.
And don't hear what we're not saying, which is not to have empathy in the nursing field and to not care about your patients. We absolutely want that. But what we don't want is for you to get burnt out in the midst of it all. Know when it's time to leave, know when it's time to protect your mental health and do what is best for you. Okay. And there's other options. Don't ever feel like you're stuck in the field. It is too broad to feel like there's too many areas of nursing that you can do to feel like you're stuck. Like you can literally work so many different places. And so this is one that we're talking about today that you can venture out and do for yourself. So thank you so much for sharing that.
One other point, nurses ask me all the time, another question that I get is, well, don't you need a certification to be a case manager? I'm not a certified case manager. And I just shake my head and go, Florence Nightingale was the original case manager. Like, what are you? That's all we do is manage care from the time we get out of nursing school.
That's all we do, literally.
The people that need the certification are the social workers or the case managers that are not nurses. Yes, they need to go get your certification. Nurses do not need that. We are the case managers. We can manage care. So that's a huge part of what I do also. But
I worked as a case manager without any certificate. Yeah, you don't need a certificate. It's nice to have if you want to go that extra mile and get it, but you absolutely do not need a certificate to be a case manager. Yeah.
No. We can teach a course on case management. We know that.
Yeah. And so all of the links to this course, to consultation meetings that you do as well, all of that will be in the description, guys. So check it out. Thanks for watching.
Make sure you
like. Yes. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video. And I promise you guys, I'll keep them coming. Bye. Love and light.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.